We are delighted today to have with us Katherine Albrecht. She's a host, a radio host, which we like radio hosts around here. And she hosts a program covering the truth. And today we want to talk to her about protecting yourself online. Now, this is a huge topic. And hopefully we can squeeze a lot of information out of her real quickly because she's very up to date on how we can do that. So, Katherine, what a delight to have you today.
Perry, I'm so glad to be on with you, too, and God bless you and your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Well, this is a big topic, and how exposed are we with being online the way we are today?
You know, I think most people have no idea that some of the services that we most rely on the Internet, that we just think of kind of the big freebies in the sky, actually aren't free after all. They're coming at a very high cost, and that cost is our privacy. And I think probably the one most people are familiar with, and the number one website on the Internet, of course, is Google. So we can start there. People don't realize when they use Google that Google is not in the business of just answering your every question because they want to help you out. Google is actually in the business of finding out information about you, and they use their search feature as a way to figure out what's on people's minds and learn more about people, their medical conditions, their financial circumstances, their concerns, their interests, their preferences. Everything that you type into the Google search engine when you're using it to search gets logged and recorded in a giant database with your name right at the very top. And that information now is being consolidated with things like Google Street View, a picture of the front of your home. If you're using Google Calendars, they're keeping tabs on where you go and what you do. If you're using, Google satellite images would have a picture of your backyard. If you're using Google Books, they know what you're reading. So you put all of that together, and then you combine it also, of course, with Gmail, which allows Google to make a record of and read all of your email correspondence and pull out the keywords and the concepts and the phrases and the ideas and all the things you talk about in your email, and they're putting it into these incredibly detailed dossiers of personal information on people all around the globe. And whenever I talk to people about the privacy implications of this, they'll usually say one of two things. They'll either say, well, you know, Google is providing me with all of these free products, though, Katherine, so why would I want to give that up? And my response to that is that, well, first of all, when was the last time a multi-billion-dollar international corporation gave you all of its products for free?
Yeah,
right. You pause and think about that.
Right.
You got to say, well, no, that doesn't make sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because those are not the products. They're the bait, and you are the product.
Are they selling this information?
Well, what they do, they're compiling it and collecting it, and they're using it so that if you're an advertiser and you want to reach all the people with an interest in fill in the blank, then Google will serve your ad to that very narrowly defined population. And the way that they do that is by identifying what everybody's interested in and who segments into which groups. So the real problem there, and I said there's two responses. One of them is sort of, well, but hang on, all the products are free. And then once people begin to realize, ooh, you mean they're really watching what I do, and maybe it's not the safest thing in the world to have all that information in a single place, then the next question that I would get for years when I talk about this is, well, what do we do instead? You know, is there any solution? So I actually helped to develop a solution, and I helped to create a website called startpage.com, which is a private way to access 100% Google results without any of the privacy invasion.
How do you do that?
Well, what you do, when you go to startpage.com, and you can remember start just like S-T-A-R-T, page, like you want to start over or start protecting your privacy, or for a lot of people, Google is their start page, the first page they see, so we just named ours startpage.com. When you get there, you can type in whatever you want to search for. So you can put in, dandruff or bankruptcy or whatever, cancer, whatever you're interested in that you want to be private. We will then take your search term, strip out anything that would identify you. We submit it to Google through our servers, get the answers, strip out any tracking cookies or other things Google would put on it, give it back to you in total privacy, and then we delete all records of your visit. So we don't have your IP address. We don't know who has been on our website. And if we got, hacked, because Google got hacked a while back, the Chinese government got into Gmail accounts to identify dissidents to round them up and put them in labor camps.
Right.
That couldn't happen through Startpage because if, God forbid, anyone were to hack or subpoena our records, there's literally nothing there. It's just a big blank because we don't store anything. So it's startpage.com. It's an easy way for people to actually take this privacy message and put it into action, because I think so often we feel like there's nothing we can do and it's just kind of hopeless. And I wanted to change that by giving people a proactive thing that they can do to begin to take control over their own privacy.
This is wonderful. Is there a charge for this?
It's totally free. And the way it works is when you do a search, if you search for, pickup trucks, you will get anywhere from 1 to 3 ads at the top for pickup trucks. They're not based on your search history or anything about you. They're just based on the thing that you searched for. You can choose to click on those or not click on them, but that's how it's funded. And we do have a paid service that's going to be coming out later this year that I'm super excited about. It's a private email alternative to Gmail. It's going to be called StartMail. It's going to come out late 2013. And what it will allow you to do is have all of your email encrypted, and we won't even have access to your email because it will be on an encrypted disk that even we can't get a hold of. So talk about privacy. It's the exact opposite of what Gmail's doing. And I can, if you're interested, I could give you a link to where your listeners could actually get a free trial when it comes out.
Yeah, where's that?
All right. Well, all they would have to do is write an email to beta, that's like alpha beta, B-E-T-A, at startpage.com. And that's because we're doing beta testing. We would ask them to be beta testers, meaning kick the tires for us and let us know what they think when it first comes out before it's released to the public.
Wow.
And when you send that, we'll send you back an automatic confirmation that you're on the list, and you'll be the first to actually get a free trial account before it becomes available for a fee to the public.
Well, thank you for making that offer. Is there a delay from the time, if we go to Startpage, we use Startpage, is there a delay from the time we do the search where you to go to Google and come back?
You know, it's amazing with the way the Internet is these days that we're able to do that at the flash of an eye. It's as quick as Google. If you look at milliseconds, it takes a couple of milliseconds longer, but your human eyes won't notice the difference.
Wow.
The other thing, though, is we don't have all the bells and whistles that Google has. If you want to go into, Google blogs and Google this and that, we don't have all that. It's just a straight search results. But we've actually found through our experience and research that about 95% of people's searches are perfectly well done through Startpage. You don't need all those bells and whistles off of Google. So the other thing you can do is when you get to startpage.com, look underneath the search box, and you'll see a little link there that says add Startpage to Firefox or add Startpage to Internet Explorer. If you click that and follow the instructions, you know that little box in the upper right-hand corner in your browser that just defaults to Google?
Yeah.
You can switch that over so it defaults to Startpage. So anytime you want to do a search, you've got your little private window up in the upper right-hand corner. It's a pretty easy thing to do, and it's nice. And you still have the Google option. You can pull down and switch back to Google.
Right.
But we would encourage people to just try taking that Google addiction needle out of your arm and try just to go 7 days on Startpage and see if you can just break that Big Brother habit.
You know, Katherine, you've uncovered, I think, a below-the-surface fear we all have, and that is how private is all of this mass communication, and what are we doing to ourselves when we go to these services and go all over. And then I can't help but think that Google, in the end, has got some kind of a political agenda. I'm sure you're aware of what happened to them on Easter Sunday.
With that Chavez thing, my gosh.
I thought, well, why are they doing this? I mean, do they have an agenda? And therefore, could they take our Google searches and see what our interests are and turn it into some kind of political advantage?
That's the thing, actually, that got me started on this whole road. Is a couple years ago, remember when the H1N1 flu was a big thing, the swine flu and the bird flu?
Yeah.
Well, what we found out that Google had done is Google actually made a bet with the Centers for Disease Control that they could predict the location of flu outbreaks before the CDC.
Yeah,
and the way Google did it was so awful. What they did is they boasted that they can tell based on what people search for whether or not they have the flu. So if you go on and you look up chicken soup and Robitussin and my company's sick leave policy, then they go, boom, we've got a live one. And then they made this map, and they pinpointed the location of each individual whose searches showed that they had the flu, and they had this map covered with red dots of each of these individuals, and then they handed it to the Centers for Disease Control and said, look, we beat you to it.
Wow.
So that freaks me out, because if you'll recall back then, there was some real concern that the CDC may actually be going home to home at some future point and force vaccinating people.
Right.
So you would be able to figure out what homes to go to, who to quarantine, who to round up. And not only in issues of public health, I mean, some people may say, well, I don't know, that's a good thing. But you could do that with anything. You could figure out who were the people who were opposed to abortion, or who were the people who held Christian viewpoints, or who were the people who held fill in the blank. And we do know that historically, my gosh, Stalin and Hitler would have given anything to have access to that kind of personal detail so they could identify everybody who opposed them and just round them all up in one swoop.
Well, as horrible as it is, I mean, that's the world we're living in. That's the reality of it. It's incredible. Well, Katherine, I just love what you're doing. It's startpage.com for our viewers and listeners. You want to check it out, S-T-A-R-T, page.com. And if you want to be a part of the trial basis coming up, you want to go to beta at startpage.com.
Yeah, that's an email there. Just write an email to beta@startpage.com and just mention in your email that you heard about this through Katherine's appearance on this radio show. And that's Katherine with a K. And my website is kmashow.com. I do a daily radio show also.
kmashow.com. Well, Katherine, thank you. You're a delight. Blessings on you. And let's stay in touch, okay?
Thank you so much. God bless you, too. And I appreciate the chance to tell people about Start Page.